Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, it is Brian Kaz here, and I'm joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We have another Wednesday marketing webinar for you, and on this one, we'll basically be essentially analyzing a few of your sites and businesses and such. So some of you responded to an email we got where you sent in your business or your site, and we'll basically not only kind of critique them, but kind of give you some tips and stuff on what we do. And this is not just like, hey, this is what we do from like an SEO perspective. It's more of like, this is what we do as a whole. And I will tell you that in some cases, I think, you know, the businesses and sites that we saw have a really awesome start, and there's not like necessarily a ton of stuff, or I shouldn't say a ton of stuff. There's not a lot of drastic changes that you'd have to make, but there were like a few things I think would help a lot. But in some cases, it'd be almost like a total revamp or repositioning of the offer. So a lot of variety. So we'll try to get through a few of those today, and we'll save some more for the future if need be. And as always, if you miss any of these calls or you want to see a replay or anything like that, they'll always be available, usually within about a day of any of these calls in the members area. You just go to essentially the training tab right here, as you see on my screen. You click on training, then you would click on the Wednesday training right here, and you see them all right there. Right now, there's like, oh gosh, probably over 150 or so, which is why we let you search by keyword right here. So if you want to pull up stuff relevant to you, you absolutely can. And I'd suggest doing that if there's a certain topic of interest to you, because chances are we've probably covered it. We also post the occasional training and stuff on the Facebook group page as well. So sometimes we'll do a live call like this. Sometimes we'll have a guest speaker on. Sometimes we'll have like a training video or like a training post. And you should also make sure to look at the Facebook group for that, which you can actually get to if you go to getwebfire.com/FB group. Once again, that's getwebfire.com/FB group. So make sure you go there. As a side note, all you have to do, if you're not yet a member of that free group right there, just click on the join, and Sharon, who's on this call, will probably approve you within like a minute or two or so if you do so now. And towards the end of the call, we'll give you a chance to win some money as well. So make sure to join that group right now. Now, before we start kind of diving into the sites and stuff, I want to take just a minute or so to ask you guys a couple questions, just to get some feedback and stuff from you. So my first question is, and I'll have you basically type in a number here, is what is your experience level with Facebook ads? So you can type in a 1 if you've never done Facebook ads. You can type in a 2 if you've done Facebook ads but in the past. Or lastly, you can type in a 3 if you currently do Facebook ads of any budget. So if you could type in a 1 if you've never done Facebook ads, you can type in a 2 if you've done Facebook ads but in the past and you don't actually currently use them, or a 3 if you currently do Facebook ads and you currently have, you know, and some Facebook ads going. So let's just see what the responses and stuff are. Okay. All right. And see, there's a decent mix. For those of you that that either typed in a 2 or a 1, can you tell me either why you stopped your Facebook ads or why you haven't started Facebook ads? So if you just take like 30 seconds to let us know exactly why you either have never tried Facebook ads, and it could be as easy as you don't have a product or service yet, or especially those that have tried it in the past, what made you stop? Was it that you know, your cost of advertising was too high? Was it just like a holiday season type offer where you don't have a use for it right now, but you likely will? Okay. Okay, all right. Lots of good answers right there. All right, let me ask you guys another question here, and it will be a number response. If you had a way to have your Facebook ads managed on autopilot by rules that you either that we basically teach you or that you can dictate yourself, would you be possibly interested in restarting or continuing with Facebook ads? So basically, if you could have kind of like artificial intelligence almost be your Facebook ad manager, would you be interested in giving that another shot? If so, you can type in a 4. If you don't think you ever would, you can type in a 5. Okay, so it looks like almost all of you would be interested in trying that out. All right, that is good right there. And the last question, which is basically an open-ended one, is all right. So last one is, are there any kind of tools or software or services or something that you think would be super useful to help with your business? If so, what are those? So, we're always looking to see if we can do stuff to kind of better fit you guys, whether that be basically adding stuff into WebFire or whether that be having like an extra service or even some extra software or whatever. If there's anything that you think would be super useful that you don't have yet that you'd be highly interested in, what kind of software or service would that be, or what would you find super helpful? Okay. All right, so I'll give you guys maybe another 10 seconds to wrap up that. And again, I appreciate all of the responses. They're super useful. All right, so thanks for all that, and feel free to continue answering if you have like a longer answer. That's perfectly fine right there. But with that, I will basically move to the site and business analysis and all that. And again, this will be a wide variety from like there's some that we've seen that are like brand new. There's some that have had like a lot of success already, and some in between as well. So I picked a handful to go on this call, and we'll see how many we get through. And as a side note, since I saw a lot of you said that you'd be interested in basically trying out the Facebook software and stuff, we actually next week, most likely, we'll actually have a call where we'll show off the exact rules and stuff that we use on our own Facebook ads. In fact, we spend a lot of money on Facebook ads. In fact, oftentimes, I mean, I don't know the total that we spent so far. It's probably, gosh, Sean, would you know in total ad spend in the last like 1 to 2 years? I mean, I'm guessing.
I don't know between all our accounts, but a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm guessing it's well into we're like well over $1 million. We have some accounts where we spend 100K plus a month on, and with that we've learned a lot of stuff. And there's certain rules and stuff that we follow, and we thought it'd be kind of useful to kind of share with you guys what the rules are that we use to kind of like help you, and how you can basically put a lot of that on basically autopilot for yourself as well. So we'll kind of give you like a sneak peek of how that's all done and how it can be applied to a variety of businesses. So we've used it with physical products even, and all sorts of different ones from like we've done some low price point stuff. We've also done some high price point stuff, and you'll kind of see what the rules are for each of those right there, and how you could possibly apply that to your own business. So we'll have that call most likely next week on that. So look out for an email on that. So moving along, we will move to analyzing some sites. So the first one is, I'll show up this one right here. This is one that I think could use kind of like a revamp. And then after that, we'll go to one that I think could just use like a handful of easy tweaks and stuff. So the first one right here is a work from home thing where the very first thing that basically pops out is the site looks like kind of outdated, looks a little old, like kind of like one of those things that you'd see in like, you know, the 90s or maybe even early 2000. But more importantly, you know, not just the graphics, more importantly, I think the keywords that you're trying to basically target in the message is a little bit off. So right here, if I were to just show this to everyone here, and I were to ask you, you know, what is this site about? Pretty much probably all of you would say what? It's some work from home site, right? So they're probably promoting some kind of work from home opportunity. But if you scroll down here, you would say, oh, this looks like, well, after you read it a bit, you'd say, oh, this looks more like how to make money off basically cannabis, or like, you know, there's like a big movement in the States. It might be elsewhere as well. For there's a lot of companies and stuff that are making money off of CBD oil, or basically stuff in cannabis and stuff, or weed essentially. You know, there's definitely a market there. There's like a lot of buzz around that field. But I think what you're trying to do right here is you're trying to target work from home, but then like immediately it jumps down to an opportunity, and basically like the marijuana area. Now, this might be an awesome opportunity that you know, might be like one of the best you know, CBD oil, or I'm not quite sure exactly what it is that it sells there, but something in that field right there. It might be something related to that. Might be a big opportunity right there. Might be one of the better programs out there. But someone looking for just work from home likely isn't just interested in this. They might be looking for like how to be an affiliate of all sorts of stuff, how to sell SEO, how to, I mean, all sorts of things. So like you're kind of like trying to target everyone, but then say, no, really it's just this. So I mean, it's kind of like saying, hey, I have the best transportation site in the world that will basically talk you, or it will basically talk about you know, the best ways that you can get yourself from point A to point B, and then the product you're trying to sell is, let's say, a bicycle. Now there is a sub niche within that of people that want to get from point A to point B in a bicycle, but the majority of people looking for a vehicle are probably looking for like a car, a truck, an SUV, you know, something along those lines, and you're missing the boat on a lot of them. So what I think could be maybe better is have a site where you're basically reviewing different kinds of CBD oil, or whatever kind of product that is it looks like some kind of that, but have like something you know, along those lines right there, where you're kind of reviewing similar products, you know, right there, and similar opportunities, and saying why yours is better. And again, I just assume this is like a CBD oil, just based, yeah, it is, because what are the benefits of CBD? So I mean, maybe have like a few opportunities with that, and basically talk about, hey, of the three or four or five ways of making money off of CBD oil, here's what you can do. Here are the 3 or 4 or 5 programs out there. Here are the pros and cons of each one, and here's the one that I think is the best and the easiest one to get into. Now, what you do with that is each one that you have, you can write a review on, and you can target review type keywords. It can be like name of program 1 followed by, like, you know, terms like review and stuff like that. You can use you know, just a little bit of research to see you know, to put those kinds of keywords in your title tags, in your descriptions, in the content, and you can have, you know, a handful of review blog posts out there on top of some comparing them all on top of some charts They give like a breakdown of the pros and cons of each one, and that gets a lot of people searching. And on top of that, you're also piggybacking off of all those different programs. So someone that's looking to be possibly an affiliate of basically program 1 might say, oh, well, looks like, there's this program 2 and 3 that I never knew existed. And these look like they might be decent opportunities. Or someone that's looking to join program 3 might search a review term there, and they might say, oh, I might also want to do maybe program 1 or 2. So you kind of piggyback off a lot of traffic that people basically find your site because they're looking for these review type keywords. Rather than just trying to go for, a more generic term like, best working from home site, which, it's a competitive niche. There's a lot of searches and stuff for stuff like that, but you're really not like deserving of ranking for that in the eyes of Google, because they say, hey, this is just on CBD, and people looking for, work from home probably are looking for a lot of other stuff and not just CBD related stuff. So that's something to keep in mind right there. But I do think, having said that, if you turn it into like a CBD, review site where you not only, like, let's say, review different programs that people can join in and make money off of that, there's a whole bunch of keywords that you can start to basically target. Not only review type terms, but also terms like how to make money off of CBD oil or off the off the marijuana wave, or like anything like that. There's a lot of stuff that you can essentially target. But on top of that, you can use some of the lead tools inside of WebFire to actually find people that are basically talking about CBD oil, or specifically talking about certain programs that they're asking questions on, or that they're interested in possibly joining, and find a lot of leads off that. So, it's a little bit of a revamp, it's a little bit of some work for you, but I think in the end, that can really make a drastic difference for you there. So that's, something that I would definitely keep in mind. I'm not saying you have to essentially trash this site or anything like that. You can still keep this site there, but in addition, I would say, like, definitely have the reviews out there. Definitely target, all the different kinds of programs and opportunities out there. And there's also like lots of content that you can also try to target various keywords on related to CBD, and like people that want to know like what essentially the benefits are, what it is, and all that right there. And also a comparison. Like there's even keywords like basically product 1 versus product 2, where it can be the 2 different names of the opportunities that people can join. And if you have a comparison of like those 2, you can target a lot of people looking for those. And then you can have like product 1 versus product 3, or product 2 versus product 3, and have like a separate post in each one, and even like one big post where you could compare all of them at once, like let's say the top 3 or top 5 or so. People love that stuff, and it can get a lot of traffic over time. So that, combined with the rankings that you could get, combined with the easy leads that you could find, I think that would give you a much better opportunity to really do more in that field. So hopefully that helps some there. Sean, is there anything else that you want to add in there?
I just want to add one more thing, completely unrelated to the marketing side of this, is that whenever you have a site like this that's talking about any kind of a supplement or anything that's not actually regulated with scientific text. So let's say you're doing a promotion for an actual prescription drug where it's approved by the government agency and countries in which you're promoting it, which CBD oil would not be, except for like epileptic seizures, I think is the officially approved use for it. So when you have your website and you're like, CBD oil cures everything. It cures cancer, it cures arthritis, it cures like everything, right? You've now made this representation to the world, and you have to be able to back that up. And if you're not able to back that up with sufficient scientific studies to satisfy the government, you've committed a violation of federal regulations in the United States, and probably in your country as well. And you're going to eventually get into trouble if you generate a lot of traffic with false and misleading statements which are not backed up properly, and you're actually selling the product. There is a difference, by the way. You can write a book that says CBD oil. You could write a book that says drinking water cures cancer and sell that book, and that's not a problem. But if you want to sell the water that cures cancer, that's a different story. If you want to write a book that says water cures cancer and sell the water from the back of your book, that's forbidden. Right? So I just want everyone to be careful that, you know, when you follow the hype of anything like this, or, you know, anything else, bulletproof coffee, I mean, all the stuff that becomes the rage and the fads, understand the legal restrictions on what you actually tell people before you then go to sell them the stuff that you want to sell them, so you don't get yourself into trouble, because government agencies have zero sense of humor about this stuff, and it's really easy for them to nail you when you make any statement that you're going to cure a disease, fix a problem, solve a problem, you know, anything that's a medical kind of issue. You need to have the actual proof, and you don't have that proof because it doesn't exist at this point to the satisfaction of anybody who would do peer-reviewed studies.
Yes.
Back to you, Brian.
Yeah, so you heard that from Sean first, that apparently water can actually cure cancer, and his actual proof there is in a scientific study done. 100% of people that did not drink water would actually die within 14 days. So that's the scientific proof there. No, all jokes aside, yeah. So you want to be like super careful with all that stuff. You know, right there, because there's again, like, a lot of people overlook that stuff, and usually, like, if you're like small and not making a lot of sales, sometimes they'll turn like a blind eye. But if you start to make sales and stuff, you definitely can get, you know, on the radar with that. So definitely try to always play it safe from the start with that right there. And on top of that too, there's like tons of opportunities out there online where you don't have to deal with all that stuff, with all the with all the liabilities and all that right there, that have just as much, if not more, opportunities of making money and all that too. So just make sure that you do this stuff right from the get-go, and you should be fine. So moving on, we have this site. It's called the Fig and Pickle. I'm not quite sure why it's named that, but I was like super curious, because they actually sell kind of like different kinds of scales, and it looks like a neat product. And I'm not sure if it's because they say somewhere I saw that it was like the only kind of scales that do not require a battery. And I read up on it, and like, this is like a food scale right here, and this is like a luggage scale. And it sounds like with the luggage scale, you kind of shake it, and with the kinetic energy, that kind of basically charges it. And with this scale here, you essentially twist the little knob, and that kind of creates the energy. So that's kind of neat. Like, it sounds neat. You don't have to have the batteries. That's all cool right there. And I'll get back to that point in a bit, that if that is actually your product, not like something that you basically bought from like a manufacturer that tons of others have, that's something that there's a lot more opportunities and stuff that I'll basically talk about in a few moments as well. But to give you some background here, they sell some of these on their site, but they also list them on Amazon, both in the US and in the UK. Here are the US links right here. So it looks like they sell the not the weight one, the food weight scale for about basically $20, and it looks like it's rated quite well right there. And then they have the luggage one, also about the exact same price, and even slightly better reviews, and a lot more, which I was actually surprised that there were like 4 times as many reviews of the luggage scale compared to the kitchen one. Because without knowing much about those markets, I'd say that there's probably more reviews for the kitchen one. But I could be completely wrong on that, and there could possibly be like a huge market there. But it looks like they're selling well there, so that's all great. And they had a couple of questions, but first I want to make a couple comments on the site. So first, when you see this site, I want to ask you guys, if I hadn't said it's like on, about the scales, what would you say the site is on right here? So let's see what you guys say. So you go to the site, you see the name, you see the picture. What do you think the site's on? pretty much everyone's saying food stuff, like healthy foods, some kind of cooking, some kind of vegetarian thing possibly. One says it could be a pub or restaurant, but almost everyone else is saying like food or healthy, sure, or like healthy food of some kind. And then you go down here, and it kind of makes sense. You have basically the kitchen scale, so you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense a little bit. The messaging's like a little bit off, I think. But then you go down to the luggage scale, and you're like, wait, what? Huh? Because that really has nothing to do with food, unless you have like a suitcase full of food. But I assume most would use this to like weigh their bags if they're like basically going to like an airport and they have to do that and all that to make sure they don't get overcharged and stuff. But then you go down here, and you have like a handful of, it looks like essentially blog posts on recipes and stuff like that. So it looks like it basically goes back to food. So it's like a slightly confusing where you're kind of like a health food site. You're kind of selling this like cool scale, and you're kind of selling a luggage thing. So it looks like a little out of place, where it seems like you should either like focus on the fact that you sell either some like cool scales, or focus more on just the food part and have the scale here, and maybe a separate site for that. Not a huge deal offhand, but it just kind of, the messaging I think gets a little wacky a bit. The other thing too is that let's just look at one of these posts right here. So you have the Brussels sprouts. So you have a blog post on that here. And it looks like you have some ingredients and whatnot, or like a recipe on what to do with that. But one thing you're missing is that I don't know what the point of this is. Like, my first thought is, hey, it's nice of you to have a recipe to basically Brussels sprouts and all that, but nowhere, in this do you like basically talk about how it's like great to like weigh them, or you have like a cool device to weigh them and make sure you have like the proper portions and all that. Like, you never reference it. So it's nice that you have the content, but I don't know what you're trying to do, because even if you rank, people will appreciate it, but you won't really get much of a benefit out of that. Or at the very least, you could have like a pop-up if someone lands on the page, or like a pop-in that basically talks about like your cool essentially kitchen scale, and how you have like a special deal of like half off on it or something along those lines right there, just to kind of get some kind of money off that right there. Now, I mean, what you could do if you want to be nice, like, and add like a bonus, like when you sell, let's say, the kitchen scale, you could have like a bunch of online recipes or something that you include as like a bonus, like, hey, these are your top X amount of healthy recipes that they can easily make and measure out with the scale and blah blah. That sounds great, but you don't seem to be doing a ton with that stuff right now. The other thing too, so you had a couple questions. One was, you have the listings on Amazon, and it looked like you were trying to do some ads. Now, I'm not sure what kind of ads. I think you may have said, I don't know if it's like Facebook ads or what, but you said you weren't sure if you should drive essentially the ads to your own site or to your Amazon listing. And it sounds like in the end you went to your Amazon listing. And here are the pros and cons in that. So if you send it to your Amazon listing, you get some authority and social proof there. Like if you go, let's go here. Like, if you go here, you see, you have a lot of reviews, a lot of people are liking it, on both of these. You have a decent price there, so it's not like you're kind of at the impulse purchase price, a little on the high end of impulse price, but not too far. Like, I think anything under essentially the $20 range is more of like an impulse buy, because it's like, it's not a fortune. You don't have to think too much. Especially stuff in like the $5 range tends to be like a really impulse buy, where like you won't spend 2 hours trying to research it to see if it's the best deal, when it's like it's just $5. So for essentially $20, it's kind of close to that range right there, where you're probably fine. But the downside is it's you lose a lot of leads. Like Amazon does not allow you to capture leads from like an opt-in, so you lose out on all those leads right there. And more importantly, you can't do a lot of the tracking that you could outside of Amazon on your own page. So on the Facebook side, it's much harder to see like who's a buyer and who's not, and how to really optimize a Facebook campaign. So you can lose a lot of money by not being able to properly optimize right there, which is like super important. And lastly, you also can't really do upsell stuff well. So on Amazon, you're hoping that you get someone to buy basically your $20 scale here. Now, I don't know, but you can certainly feel free to share, what is your raw cost to actually make these and have them shipped to you and then to, let's say, the client? Like, is it like $10 all in? Is it 15? Is it 5? I don't know. I mean, my guess is that to make it, ship it to you and then to the client, my guess is you're probably in the 10 to 12 buck range, if not more. I could be wrong, so feel free to share. But at the $20 range, there's not a lot of money to really make that sale. I mean, if I was selling, let's say, like a $20 product, if I could get sales for $10 in ad costs, Sean and I would probably consider that a huge win. Whereas you might say, hey, crap, I'm losing money on that. Now, even if some people get, like, let's say basically a $20 sale for even 20 bucks, a lot of people would consider that a win as well. But those are usually the ones that have like a handful of upsells. They mailed to those lists because they use this to basically build lists and stuff off of. So I think you're losing out if you only send to Amazon. Now, if you're currently sending traffic there via ads and it's working, great. Don't stop that. But if you're finding that, hey, I'm losing a lot of money in sending ads here, that could very well be why. Whereas if you have, like, let's say, you're trying to sell this scale here, you might find that, hey, for $5 more or $10 more, a lot of people are interested in, let's say, a special, essentially cookbook you have on how to, basically cook with the scale well, and all sorts of things that they can now do, and measure out the exact ingredients of, and yada yada yada. That might be one thing. And then you could also see, hey, if they're interested in healthy living, or if they're possibly interested in like a diet, because they might be buying this because they want to measure out, let's say, their portions and stuff, you could have an upsell related to certain kinds of, essentially like a diet or something along those lines, right there. And that can range from something as easy as like a course on it or like a book on it, all the way up to like a reoccurring membership where each week or each day they get like a new exercise or like some new, like a new thing to make that week, or new like ingredients or new recipes each week, like, some kind of like a reoccurring thing in there. And you can have like, 3 or more upsells after the first one, and you might find that instead of making basically $20 per buyer, you might make essentially twice that. Then all of a sudden, if you spend essentially, let's say you spend $15 to $20 to get that buyer, if you only sold this, you'd say, oh man, that really sucks because I'd be losing money. But if you can make basically twice it on the back end, you might say, oh man, that's really awesome, because I can basically easily double my money and build a list at the same time that I can sell even more stuff to as well. On the flip side, you might say, hey, maybe instead of selling essentially this on the front end, you could have this be an upsell itself and try to give something away for free, or something away for very, very cheap. Like you might have like a new book on like a diet, or like a book or report on X, on 10 ways to lose X amount of pounds, within the X month or so. You can give that away for free, get those leads in, and then immediately have some upsells in some other things like this, where you could basically say, hey, one of the easiest ways of losing weight is to actually measure your portions. And hey, did you know that the average person tends to eat like 2 or 3 times essentially the recommended portion size, and they're not even aware of it? Here's how you fix that, right here. And then have some other upsells kind of worked in there as well. And that gives you the opportunity as well. If you have a kind of a generic offer like that, you could sell almost anything related to like weight loss or dieting or anything like that, including the scale right here. So I definitely would give that some thought as well right there. So I think that would make you a lot more money in the long run. Now, if this is also your product, which my hunch that it might be, it might not be something that you just basically bought and shipped in from China that tons of others have. If it is something that you invented or something that you have, I would also take the time to try to reach out to possibly some larger distributors, because you might find that, hey, for basically a $20 scale, which I think is relatively cheap for a scale, so it's not like it's like super expensive, and you don't need a battery. That's kind of neat right there. You might have a chance of having a store or a larger place basically picking you up on an offer to distribute that. So it is worth your time to try to do some research, find leads out there of people in that area that might be able to basically help you with that. And if you take even like a day and you reach out to, let's say, a couple dozen different contacts, if all but one of those shoot you down, that's still a huge win, because you'd have the one winner right there, and that can help you lead into like a bunch of other stores and stuff as well. And you'll find that once you get into one store, you tend to get into a lot more, and it can really exponentially grow quite fast there. In fact, years ago, I actually did some consulting. Probably maybe like eight years back, if not more. And it was a business that once they were able to get into like a couple Walgreens stores, just a couple, in one state, they expanded to the whole state, then they expanded to like another state, then they expanded to, I think it was like Costco or something, and then they expanded like nationwide, and it really grew exponentially, really fast. But it all started by reaching out to some contacts right there and just kind of getting their foot in the door right there. But of course, that also you'd have to look at what your raw costs are and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, if your raw cost is like $17 and you sell it for essentially $20, that would be a bit of a problem right there. But it's just kind of food for thought right there. Sean, I'm not sure if you have any other thoughts on that.
Yeah, I have a bunch of thoughts, in fact. So I don't know how long we have for me to give them to you, but looking at the listing that you have right now, I noticed that I can use the incredibly high capacity of 5 kilograms in 1 gram increments. That's pretty awesome for those of us that weigh stuff out in grams and kilograms. But in America, that's a highly unusual thing. So one suggestion would be, changing the way you list it based upon the settings, if it's possible, because no one in America is going to buy a scale and then have to be like, okay, so how many ounces is this many grams, and let me do that before I use my scale. That's gonna crush your sale, and you're going to get bad reviews if somebody doesn't realize that and gets a scale, and then they're all confused about it because it defaults to that. Or if you can set it to weigh, in different, whether in pounds and ounces or in grams and kilograms, then that would be an important feature. Next thing is, I don't know why not having a battery is such a big deal for the kitchen scale. For the luggage scale, for those people that go on vacation and they have no idea what their luggage weighs on the way to the airport because they bought a bunch of stuff, I could see why they would never want to have their their scale die that's going to weigh their luggage. So that one I absolutely understand. But your comment earlier on, Brian, brought to mind something where you were saying, hey, it looks like the luggage scale has like more volume and more reviews than the kitchen scale. And
Yeah.
And so that brings to mind a very interesting thing that we see happen with a lot of people in business is they start out and, they've got however many products and they're like, You know, this, and based upon the site that as we can see it now, it's all about the food. Now, it could really be that they sell 10 kitchen scales for every luggage scale. I don't have any idea, but the important point that I want you to take away from this is, when you start out in business, you have to at least guess initially, like, oh, I think the marketplace wants to buy kitchen scales, okay, but I'm going to throw this other crap in here just in case they want to buy it, right? But the market doesn't always do what you think it should or want it to do. Sometimes it does whatever it wants to do. And what you have to learn, first of all, is to not care what the market wants to do, because it wants to do it anyway. You can be mad, like, I don't know why anybody doesn't buy my kitchen scale. It's way better than my luggage scale. But if people want to buy your luggage scale, let me strongly suggest that what you want to do is sell the luggage scale. Okay? Don't get hung up on, man, I'm in the kitchen scale business. When people are lining up down the street to buy your luggage scale, you want to be like, man, the luggage scale's selling. It's hot. It's got momentum. Let's cash in on that. Let's go find a way to get more traffic to the luggage scale and sell more of that, because that's what the marketplace is loving. That's what I'm getting traffic for. That's what people are buying. I'm going to sell me some luggage scales. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So keep that in mind when you go to sell stuff. All right, Brian, I think we're kind of winding into the home stretch.
Yeah. So what I'll do right here, just to basically emphasize a bit more, so that we'll save some other sites for next time, but just emphasize a bit more. We basically talked about how you could not just sell like the scale, how you could possibly build like a funnel out, especially if you had either like a free giveaway at the start, like something you gave away for free, or something that was like super, super cheap, and how that could like allow you to sell almost anything that you want and have like a funnel. One great way to get like product ideas is to go to AliExpress, or you can search on Amazon too. But on AliExpress, you can see how you can get products super, super cheap that you can basically import or ship straight from basically China. So if we were in the weight loss niche, we could possibly type in something like weight loss or diet, or pretty much anything that you want. And we see right here all sorts of weight loss products and stuff, including a bunch of oddball things that are very, 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 very cheap. Including this one's kind of funny. It's weight loss earrings. Not quite sure how effective those would be right there. That'd be neat if so. But you can kind of like browse through and say,
but those are FDA approved, Brian, I'm sure.
Yeah. And you can see like what's selling the most right there, and you can also see like what's the newest ones, what has the most orders. So like right here, when I click on orders, we see there's magnetic weight loss jewelry, and we were making fun of the weight loss earrings, but apparently they have over 11,500 sold at less than $1 a pair, and that includes shipping for free. Obviously these might like exaggerated and whatnot right there, but you can kind of go through and see what's selling, what seems to be popular and whatnot. Like here's like a men's like slimming corset, and here's also like a women's one, and like there's some that are like pretty cheap right here. Like here's one for basically $1. I mean basically less than $1.50 if you include the shipping. So some pretty cool stuff that you can kind of go through and see what's selling well. Some stuff for shoes and stuff, and what you can do is you could build like a funnel where, hey, you have maybe a product on the front end that's like free plus shipping, where like, you say, hey, this is like a giveaway, you give it away for free, and you charge like, $5 for shipping and handling, which really you're making a profit on the front end off that right here. And in a lot of cases, you can actually drop ship these straight from China to any client that you want. Like right here, you can drop ship any of those. And if one gets like really, really popular and you want to grow it out, you can always buy a bunch in bulk and work with like a fulfillment center, or basically Amazon or almost anyone, and ship those out even faster and whatnot. And we can search for like all sorts of products. Like I'll just say essentially diet right here, and we'll sort by the number of orders, and we see again, lots of stuff being sold right here. You can kind of just give you an idea of what's out there. And if you ever want like ideas for like any niche that you're in, this is like a great way to just research and get like ideas and stuff. Like, I don't know if there's stuff in like the luggage area, but let's just look up like a luggage, like a luggage scale. There's like a bunch of those right there. Maybe someone would be interested in some like accessories for their luggage. You can kind of see what that all, and right here, boom, this is kind of neat. So for like a luggage accessory, it might say that, hey, it'd be kind of cool to have like a special name tag on it or something like that. And the reason why that's neat is not only could you have, let's say, your own information on the back of it to identify you, but one of the biggest issues when you go to like an airport is what? Regardless
everybody
of
has a black suitcase.
Everyone has the exact same bag, right? Like, I mean, everyone has like a black bag or a blue bag or a red bag, or even if you think yours is unique, it usually isn't. And like I sometimes tend to have like on one, I think on my daughter's, I have like a little purple like sash essentially tied to it, just to make it stand out a bit. It'd be like super easy to have like something like this right here to say, oh, this is kind of neat. It's like a fun little sun tag or like a tree tag or a world tag or this tag where you'd probably be you'd probably be the only person at basically the terminal area right there or at the baggage with that. And in this case, for like less than $1, you can get one made and shipped, where that's like a pretty easy upsell where it's like, hey, do you want to buy like a pack of 2 or 3 of these for like, let's say a pack of 3 for $10? A lot of people might actually take you up on that deal right there because they're like, hey, they would have a use for it for like a few bucks each. That's a pretty good deal right there. And again, you can just kind of go through and see like what all people might have. I'm sure there might be like some kind of bag locks or other kinds of accessories, or there's probably like somewhere in here there's probably also, you could search for like, oh, like these things right here, like little bags where you can throw in like shoes and accessories and stuff like that. Like this is the kind of thing where, hey, it's selling for less than $2, and it's a 4-piece set. So it's a 4-piece set for less than $2, including the shipping, where if you sold a 4-piece set for like $10, people would think that, hey, that's an insanely cheap deal. They think that probably just one bag alone like that might be 10. And if you have some shoes or you have like a bunch of like little things like shampoos or stuff that you want to store, that might be an easier way to store it in. And then let's say, or if you want to take like some food over, like anything like that, or if you just want to take those bags over, in case you buy some souvenirs, it's easy to obviously store those bags completely folded, or basically use them and stuff those up if need be right there. So that's kind of like a super useful accessory right there, that for like a $10 upsell, it'd be like an impulse buy that a lot of people would take you up on that. So you could go from not only just like, let's say a scale, but you could easily sell them into, the 4-piece set for $10, which makes an extra 8. You could sell them maybe a 3-pack of some kind of cool tags, which would make you like $7 right there. So that's again, you're making a profit about 15 net, not even counting what you made on the scale. In addition, so that could essentially be over twice of the profit that you made by just selling the scale, and that's just off of 2 quick upsells right there. You certainly could add more in as well, and just spend maybe like 15 minutes doing some research, in these markets, and you'll find a lot of stuff. And even if you don't have a product now, this can be a great way to just basically type in any niche that you want, just to see what basically pops up, and then you can start to kind of basically build out like a little funnel based on the stuff that you find right there. So I think it definitely would be kind of a neat thing to look into and do. So
hey Brian, so let me jump in because
yeah.
2 things. So you were talking about upsells and funnels and bumps and bonuses, which are all good. But another thing that you guys can do that's a great way to increase the value of your product and is to give people a bonus if they buy your product. So let's say you're selling the food scale, and Brian mentioned, well, what if you had a recipe book? Well, you could upsell the recipe book, but you give people the recipe book for free, and if you give them the digital version, of course, it costs you $0, right? To give them, 100, healthy recipes or 100 keto recipes or whatever book you want to give them. The same thing goes, if you're selling the luggage scale, you can give them a book on, how the best way to pack, the most efficient way to pack, how to make sure you pack your suitcase right so you never go over the weight limit, whatever, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be like a 300-page book. It's just going to be whatever packing tips and, checklists so you don't forget stuff and tips for international travel and whatever, and all this stuff that's easy for you to just go gather online and throw into a book. So all of that is a great way to do that. But I want to comment on what Steve mentioned here, which was he picked up on something that I didn't exactly mention, but he picked up the right idea, which is, hey, if you're thinking about selling something, you could send traffic to an affiliate link, like even an affiliate link to an Amazon product, to see if you're generating traffic, from your blog, however you want to generate traffic, from a site, from paid traffic or whatever, to a product, and see if you can, your cost of generating traffic or how easily you can get ranked and get traffic to sell the product before you actually go and either create or source the product. Now, one of the biggest challenges that people face starting a business or starting a new product line in the business is, well, I think people would really love to buy this. I want to sell it. And that's great. But if you then go into, a 3-month production mode, so you can, start writing your epic book, and then you get some videos produced, and then you get some sales copy created and everything else, all to find out whether or not it's a good idea, that's a really, really long time to wait to make money. And it's a really long time to wait to find out that you suck at selling whatever it is you created. And let me tell you, Brian and I, we've had some people submit some ideas to they're like, where people are like, well, this is what I'm doing or going to do, and this is my great idea. And we can take one look at that with our combined 40 years of marketing and experience and just go, no. I mean, you don't have a chance in hell of working, right? If you'd asked us this before you started, we could have saved you from yourselves. And sometimes we try to save people from themselves. One epic recollection is the guy who wanted to interview me a long time ago for the book, and the book concept was things you shouldn't ask an internet marketing guru when you interview them. Seriously, this was the book topic. Now think about this, okay? First of all, it's obviously a stupid idea, but even you're like, well, maybe there are people who want to know that. How many people are actually going to go interview internet marketing people? I mean, what's the sum total possible buyer universe? What, 100 people out of 7 billion on the planet? I mean, forget about the fact they don't even want to buy the book, those 100 people. Just there's only 100 of them, right? I mean, it's just a stupid idea. So what you want to be able to do is test your marketing ideas as fast as possible. So for example, you say, hey, I think this battery operated scale is the most awesome thing on the universe. I think I could sell the crap out of that. Well, you want to go find an affiliate link, find an AliExpress link, find wherever you can so you can put up a page and start sending traffic to that like tomorrow or next week. Not 3 or 4 or 5 months from now, not after you buy 10,000 of them to stick in a warehouse. You want to find if you can sell it as fast as possible, because either selling it's a great idea or it sucks, okay? And if it sucks, you really want to know fast, so you can go on and find the great idea, the one that works for you. So you want to mow through ideas and testing, selling them as fast as possible. I mean, we have, Brian and I and our other partner in the survival business, we have, I don't even know how many products in the warehouse. Got to be 140, 150,000, actual physical products in the warehouse for our business. 2 years ago, we had 0. I think 18 months ago, we might have had 0. Okay? And the first actual product shipment volume we bought from China was like 300 units. Okay, now our top selling products, we buy 15,000 at a time. Okay, but we initially tested everything as small and as fast as possible, drop shipping from China. Okay, and we're like, hey, this works, let's do it. Okay, let's buy a few and test the supplier from China. You know, let's test the fulfillment service, let's test the warehouse, and then we're able to roll out. Okay, but we wanted to test fast. When we test upsells, we're testing drop ship from China. Okay, and it's customers hate it, and we have to refund some people that we'd rather not refund, but it's way better than, hey, I'm going to order a bunch of these from China and I'm going to wait a month for them to get produced and shipped to my warehouse so I can find out whether or not anybody buys them. As opposed to, I can write an upsell page or a bump offer, throw it in my funnel tomorrow, and in 2 or 3 days, I have a good idea whether or not we should order a bunch of these and buy them. Okay, which is better? Obviously, the latter is much, much, much better. Faster, more efficient, lets you test more, let you do more, let you make more profits. So, Brian, I now probably have ran us, well, right up almost to 3 o'clock. If you're going to give away money, you better hurry.
All right, let's give some money away right here. And to do that, what you have to do is you have to go to getwebfire.com/FB group. Again, that's getwebfire.com/FB group. And Sharon has a post at the very, very top, basically asking what you thought of today's call. I'll just try to bring that up right here in a second. And if you leave a comment within that post, we'll pick a random winner completely at random within about like a minute or so right here. Again, just go to getwebfire.com/FB group. If you're not a member,
the winner's going to be number 11. That's my prediction. I'm even going to look how many comments there are. Just number 11.
You came close on guessing right a couple times. Well,
listen, based upon my results of guessing, everyone knows that I'm not cheating.
So right here, this is the page. You just scroll down right here where you see the post from Sharon less than an hour ago asking what you thought of today's call. If you leave a comment right here, just basically click on comment. We'll pick a random winner in just about a minute or so time. So I'll give you guys a minute or so to do that there. And in the meantime, I did see a question pop up that I'll just answer really fast. So there's one that asked, when they write like different kinds of topics, or if I say like how they should target different keywords and stuff, what should they do? Well, as far as inside of WebFire, well, there's actually a few things. One, anytime you're thinking of writing like a blog post or trying to rank for anything, the very first thing you'll want to do is to do some keyword research. So you'll go down to SEO and keywords, and then you'll scroll down to the keywords tool right there, which is in the middle of everything. And then you'll basically type in a related keyword and do a search, and it will find like 50 related keywords, and it will basically analyze like which ones have a better or easier chance of ranking, and pick like maybe like 5 or so to start with that you want to try to basically target, and have like, you know, one keyword for each page or each blog post that you try to go after, and make sure that the keywords that you have a good chance of ranking for, you have somewhere in the title tag or in the title of your blog post, and you use it at least once or twice throughout the content of that page as well. So that's, and if you do that by itself, or if you turn it into like a video where you have the keyword somewhere in the title and also in the description, you have a very, very good chance of ranking on page 1 from anywhere from like a matter of a couple hours to a matter of like a couple weeks. It depends upon a lot of factors, but usually within a very short time, you can get a page 1 ranking by basically doing so. And you can also track your rankings and when they show up by, if you scroll down to where it says rank right here, that's the rank essentially tracker, where you can track to see when you rank and what rank you have and all that right there. So that's how you would basically do that, and that's how you would basically decide what keywords to go after. Now, if you have some keywords in mind where you don't want some extra suggestions. Like let's say you're writing a review and you know that you want to basically target like, one of maybe 3 or 4 words. You can also go to the keyword tool right here. And in fact, I'll just show you really quick right here. And instead of having it say right here, find several related keywords, you just click right here, where you could basically type in a handful of keywords yourself and have it basically analyze just those. So if you wanted to look up like some review type terms that you think would be really neat and you want to see like how easy or hard just those are, you can certainly do that there. And that's pretty much all you'd have to do to like rank. Now there's extra advanced things that you can do, like you can get some more backlinks, you can find like forums and blogs that you can post in, you can turn your articles into a video and post the video and have a backlink to your page. There's all sorts of advanced things that you can do to increase your chances, but basically doing that, just the stuff I say, just having a new blog post where you basically target a keyword even once a month can start to drastically increase the amount of traffic and stuff that you can get. Now, if you're interested, as a side note, since I'm on that topic, if there's a certain topic of interest to you, make sure to use our searcher right here. Like if you're interested in SEO, make sure to type in SEO and you'll see all the calls we have on that. If you're interested in like affiliate stuff, like affiliate marketing, make sure to type in that and you'll see a bunch related to that, so on and so forth. So with that, I think we'll pick a winner. I'll give you guys maybe another 10 seconds or so to leave a comment. I'll refresh the page. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So see if there's anyone that posted outside. Case. All right. All right. Looks like a couple posted outside. That's okay. We'll count those. All right. 1, 2, 3. So 3 outside plus. What's the total here? 21. So 24 in total. All right. So Sean thought the winner would be 11. Let's see. All right. 2. That makes it
1 and 1 equals 2. I got it.
Yeah, that makes it super easy. So Steve Irvin, if this is you or looks like you, and you studied at the University of Delaware, congratulations. You are $100 richer, or you will be, as soon as you post up your PayPal email in the chat box to Sharon. So once again, congratulations to Steve Irvin for being this week's Wednesday Marketing Webinar winner. So just make sure to write your PayPal email to Sharon in the chat box, and we'll get that over to you shortly this afternoon. So with that, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And as always, if there's any topics of interest to you, feel free to let us know, and we'll see if we can do a future call on them. Just write support@webfire.com. And we'll see what we can do there. And again, thanks for basically answering the questions at the start of the call and basically giving all that feedback and whatnot. So with that, hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.